Dan Illman, Mike Beer for Breeders' Cup Prep Recap, taking a look at a major prep race for the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies. This is the Grade 2 Oakleaf at Santa Anita, going 1.16 miles. Bob Baffert trained 4 of the 6 runners in this race, including Non-Compliant, the winner. Let's break from the gate. Non-Compliant breaks from the outside post in the field of 6 and settles into a very comfortable position in only her second lifetime start, her first around 2 turns.
Yeah, they weren't going for the lead in this race, Dan, but she's forward. You're going to see her here get sort of pushed 4 wide into the first turn here. She'll move over a path, but she'll just sort of set up shop on the outside here. This runner up in this race, Nooney, she's going to go a pretty solid pace up the backstretch here.
Nooney is very fast, and she's shown that brilliance at shorter distances earlier in her career, so it was no surprise stretching out that she would be able to get right to the front. And you're right, Mike. She's setting a pretty strong pace. Tenma, who was more gritty than brilliant in her prior start sprinting, was also stretching out for the first time. I was a little bit surprised how keen she was and sharp early.
Yeah, I agree, especially when you're just watching Nooney up the backstretch. Like Martin Garcia was really trying to get her to back things down here, but she didn't really rate too kindly in this race. They ran the grade 1 for Colts a couple of races after this, Dan. They're going a couple ticks faster up the backstretch in this race, and you'll see Nooney start to tire around the final turn here. Non-compliant, though, to her credit, Dan, she's going to make a strong run up to challenge here and make Nooney race for it. And she's just, at this stage of the game, Non-Compliant's the better horse going this far.
And I love that she sustained that run as well. She hung outside. It was a very confident position by Hernandez, is attacking Nooney, who again is a very talented horse. And now Non-Compliant, only a second lifetime start. She's in a little bit of a dogfight here in the 3/16 pole. It's going to take her a while to change leads. She just did right there. And from here, it's all Non-Compliant, the last 16th of a mile. I think from a fitness standpoint, this is a great prep race for the Breeders' Cup.
It's a great prep. I agree with you, Dan, because you're right. It's only her second career start off of a maiden win. It's not like she fell into she had a good trip in there, but it's not like she fell into some kind of candy trip. She had to deal with a really fast pace. She was not outrun by it. She made a move into it relatively early, kept going through the stretch, did a lot of really good things here.
Non-compliant was no secret in here, despite the fact that Nooney and Tenma have accomplished more. Non-compliant was bet down to even money and really ran to her backing. Nooney's tried hard. She's a speedy type. Is she the kind of horse that can set the pace in a race like the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies and hold on? The distance still has to be a little bit of a question mark.
It's a pretty big question, especially, I mean, listen, if she is ever going to stretch out effectively, and that remains to be seen, she's just going to have to be rated much more kindly, Dan. She really doesn't want to settle early in her races. It cost her a little bit here. 2 starts back when they went 7 with her. I mean, her first 2 starts going short were really impressive. They went 7 with her in the debutante. 2 starts back, she went fast again, got hooked on the pace and gave way.
I was expecting a little bit more for Tenma, who again was very gritty to win her prior starts. Here, she was in good position. She couldn't go with Nooney. She couldn't go with Non-Compliant. I know a lot of folks are going to be questioning distance after this race and maybe even class. I'd like to give her one more chance if she could settle and make one run. I think the talent is there.
Yeah, I guess the excuse, if you want to give her one, Dan, is that she just got caught chasing a pretty strong pace in this race and just couldn't really cope with it. I would have liked to have seen her, really make herself at least threatening when this field came into the stretch, and she just really couldn't do it. Sort of plugged on and held on for third, but I think that was mostly because there was really nothing happening behind her.
Non-compliant earned an 81 Beyer speed figure in this race on the heels of her 82 debut victory, going 3/4 of a mile at Del Mar. Let's take a closer look at the winner, Non-Compliant. She's by Belmont Stakes winner Tiz the Law, and she's sold for 3 times at auctions, gone up every time. $15,000 weanling, $35,000 yearling, $150,000 May 2-year-old in training. The dam was grade 3 placed, going 2 turns on the dirt. We know that distance isn't an issue for this filly. I still think she's all upside. She's got to be considered one of the major contenders in the Breeders' Cup.
Have to really like what you saw from her here, to be sure, Dan. There's plenty of distance in this pedigree. I mean, there's a lot of, you go back, it's a lot of sort of European turf in there, but a lot of distance in this pedigree. Really like what I've seen from the Tiz the Laws to this point, too. There's a lot to like about this filly.
Very professional as well, not a speed crazy 2-year-old like you're used to seeing this time of the year from the young ones. Let's take a look at the prices. Non-compliant, no surprise, $4, completing the Baffert triple. Nooney and Tenma, we might see all 3 of them in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies, but Non-compliant, her stock is rising.